So when a customer accepts an estimate, there are a couple of different ways that we can get the notification. Sometimes we get an email notification if they accept through email, and other times they might accept as a text message, but we're always going to know that they accepted the estimate because there's multiple notifications that come through. So once a customer accepts the estimate, we need to then convert it to a job. So we can see here that the estimate was accepted. This is an estimate to replace an overhead service and an SEU cable. So what we need to do first before we convert this to a job is we need to change the verbiage here on the estimate, because once we convert it to a job, all of the information here is just going to move from this screen into the job screen. And we don't want it to say estimate anymore. We want to change it because it's not an estimate. So we just want to remove the estimate word and the word to. So in order to do that, you have to hit the edit button and then remove estimate to. So we're going to change it just to replace overhead service and SEU cable. We're going to hit save. Now we want to figure out how much time this is going to take for the technician. Typically for this service, that's a full day service. And you would know by going down here, you can see it's a contract price down at the bottom. And if you ever had any questions on how long a job is going to take, if you think it's a full day, if you think it's multiple days, you can always go over that with the service manager or really with anyone in the office. They can certainly troubleshoot that with you to make sure that you're giving enough time on the schedule for the particular job. In this case, it's going to take one full day, but I always want to look and see if there's any notes down here. And I do see a note that says office, this job requires a permit and a CRS number. So there are a few more steps to this job than just getting it on the schedule. When something requires a permit, that's a permit that we pull through the town. And if it needs a CRS number, that's through Eversource. So there's two separate things that have to go into this, and it does take a little bit of time. So one thing I would do is I would add a note down here that says needs permit. Needs CRS number. And I would add those notes so that I know when I go back in, those two things need to be handled. There's also a task list here. So once the permit has been applied for, you check off that you applied for the permit. Once you pay for the permit, you check off that you paid for the permit. So all of these checks should be, all of these tasks on the task list should be checked off before the job gets done. So we know that we're going to replace the overhead service. We've changed it and we've added notes that it needs a permit and a CRS number, and now we want to convert it to a job. And ideally, you're going to pick a date before you convert it to the job so that you know when you get to this screen exactly the date that you're looking for. So we're going to convert to a job. And I've already picked a date on my Google Calendar of Thursday. Well, this was going to be out a few weeks. So typically we schedule a job. If it needs a permit, we're going to schedule it out for 2 weeks. We're going to give the permitting department 2 weeks to get the permit from start to finish before we get it on our schedule. Most of the time, that will be enough time. In some cases, that's not enough time and we have to give more time. All of the jobs that have permits, they all require inspections, and that's another time where the building department has to come out to the house. So we try to set it up for the same day of service. So the day of service when our technicians are there is the same day that the inspection takes place. Not only so that our technician is there when the inspector is there, but also it's more convenient for the homeowner. So we're going to look about 2 weeks out from today's date to get this on the schedule. And I know, because I've already looked at the Google Calendar, that I can put this on the schedule for the 14th, which is a Tuesday. It's not going to be Felipe doing the work. It was Felipe who did the estimate. The guys that are going to be doing the work are my service guys. So I'm going to choose Andy and I'm going to choose Michael. We have a number of service guys and they rotate. So sometimes they're on project jobs and then some of the guys are always on service. So you always want to make sure that the guys that you're choosing are the right guys for the job, and any one of us can help you figure that out. So once you choose the technicians, you just hit convert. It takes a few minutes and thinks about it, and then it's going to put it on the schedule. It's also going to send an email and a text message to both of those technicians, letting them know that they have a job that has been dispatched to them. Now, there are a couple more steps that we have to do before we can hit save and be done. We do have to change the status from dispatched to scheduled. So we're going to go up to edit again. And we're going to change it from dispatched to scheduled. And then we're going to hit save. And as soon as it's done saving, we're just going to add those presets that we talked about earlier. So right now there are no reminders. We want to add reminders and insert from the presets. So we want to make sure that this customer knows that we're coming out on 4/14 at 8 a.m. And the best way to do that is to send them an email the night before, a text message reminder also, and an appointment confirmation. So we can do all of those things right here. So we want to do an appointment reminder. A selection is going to come up where we can choose. This is going to email the customer 1 day before the job. It's going to message the customer 2 hours before the job, and it's going to call the customer the evening before the job. So it's going to get the customer is going to get notified 3 different times that we're coming out to their home. We can also add an appointment reminder, which we definitely want to do. So that appointment reminder preset will send out an appointment reminder that we're going to be coming out for that appointment. And that's pretty much it. So we just want to make sure that it's listed as scheduled, and then you take that and you put all of this information that the job is going to start on 4/14 at 8 a.m. The only thing we want to change here is the estimated duration of the job is not going to be 1 hour. We know this is going to be a full day, so we want to change that to 8 hours. Now the arrival window is going to be 8 to 9 a.m., but they're going to be on the job from 8 to 3:30. The arrival time is just when we expect them to be there. So this looks like it's good to go, and then we would put it on the Google Calendar from here, and then the next steps in this specific job would be contacting Eversource to pull that CRS number and contacting the building department to pull the permit.